Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jessica.
And she wanted the
Oh.
first line.
But you started so high energy that I was like, oh, I guess she's taking the first line. Okay, start again.
Get home from school, turn on my TV. Who are these friends staring right back at me? Now that we're older, why don't you come over and go back in time with me? 90s babies nostalgia.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jessica, and this is 90s Babies Nostalgia, where two fully grown millennial women rewatch and sometimes watch for the first time tween entertainment from the early 2000s.
Just to be clear, we are not sponsored by nor affiliated with any of the shows, brands, bands, anything that we mention in this podcast. We just really like talking about TV and also other things today because, psych, we're not talking about any of the stuff we normally talk about. We're not talking about tween entertainment from the 2000s. We're having a fun little spontaneous, I'm going to call it our Pride bonus episode. We are entitled to this, like how we did Heartstopper last year, except this is much more off the rails.
Correct.
To be clear, we are going to get back to our irregularly scheduled programming shortly. We have recorded Phil of the Future. We recorded our first Phil of the Future episode almost a year ago. We just are really not on top of our shit. But I'm editing and we're getting through it. And it will get uploaded and you will enjoy it. And in the meantime, I have decided, and not told Jess this, I am not editing this podcast.
Oh.
Like, this
please
particular...
cut out the first 3 minutes, so.
Sure. I'll line up the audio and the videos, and I'll put in maybe our theme song or bits of it or whatever, and I'll take out the part where Jess has a little spat in the beginning. But I'm not taking out anything else, I've decided, because this needs to get posted in June. Like,
Okay.
I can't handle another episode where I have to do a heavy edit, and I think that this is part of our problem, is that I just need to find a way to make it easier to do.
Okay, that's fair. This is like test run, essentially. Yes. Okay, I'm into it.
For the one episode that we've done absolutely no prep for. We're just talking about things that we want to talk about this month.
Mm-hmm. We've had an exciting past few weeks, Amanda particularly. Some of the stuff is nostalgia based. Some of the stuff is just like new TV show that came out that we just want to talk about because it took both of us on a ride. And so we want to talk about it.
Absolutely. My coffee maker is now making noise, so I'm going to regret that. But you know what? This is part of the ride. I have an espresso machine, and it's not been used for an hour. It does this like auto clean and shut off, and it makes an ugly sound. Thankfully, I had my toilet replaced a couple days ago, so that's good because it was a heavy like water feature. Like, it sounded like an actual intentional fountain for the last month and a half. So I'm glad it was replaced before we started recording again, because I've moved 3 times while we've recorded this podcast. I feel like we only recorded a few episodes in my last place, but that's fine. Anyway, the TV show that you were talking about, let's get into that first, because that's our joint experience.
Okay, so Amanda was at my house like a week ago, and we did not record a podcast because we were just too busy enjoying each other's company. But what we did do is we watched XO Kitty, which is the series spin-off?
Yeah, it's a spin-off.
Series spin-off to All the Boys I Loved Before movie series. So it's written by Jenny Han. It was not a book prior to becoming the series, and it's essentially the spin-off of Kitty, the younger sister, going to Korea to study abroad for a year, just like her mom did at the same age, junior year in high school, and you kind of get to go along with her and all the shenanigans she gets up to.
Yeah, the setup is that in the last To All the Boys movie, they travel to Korea at the very beginning, which I always forget because it's like literally inconsequential to the plot.
Yeah.
But it's a fun
They
time.
got more budget, and so they were like, let's go to Korea because we have more budget.
They were also like, we didn't cast any Korean actresses to play these Korean kids. Let's put them in Korea and pretend that we did.
Yeah.
Because Lana Condor is Vietnamese, and the actress that plays Margot Janelle something Parrish, she's like Filipino or something. And I'm not sure about Anna Cathcart. I don't think she's Korean, but I feel like she's like Chinese. I'm not sure. Anywho, they just cast a bunch of mixed Asian girls. So they said, let's take them to Korea and pay homage. And in that like montage, we get Kitty meeting this boy Day in this like dramatic swept up meet cute on the top of Namsan Tower, where if you've ever been to Seoul, which I'm assuming most people have not, sorry, it's a great place to go. Namsan Tower is in like the middle of the city, and they have this area where you can like put locks, and lots of people like to like write initials and stuff. So I guess LJ's doing that for her and Peter, and then Kitty meets Day and is just like, oh my god. And apparently the series picks up 3 years later. They've been in a long distance relationship this whole time. They've not seen each other since. Like, absolutely kudos to you. I did a 4-year long distance relationship in high school. That shit is not easy, but I saw him once a year and can't imagine 3 years without it. This was clearly like because Anna Cathcart is older now. They're like, she can't really play a little kid anymore, and also we want to get a little steamier. She just finished her first year of college, I believe, so she's like 19.
I also think a big part of this is like, yes, Anna Cathcart's older. Yes, they want to get steamier. Also, we have to say it, Jenny Han just wanted to write a K-drama. Like, that's all she wanted to do.
100%. I saw someone on Twitter refer to this, and it was actually in response to a scene that Netflix tweeted out. The scene that opens up episode 6 when Minho is dreaming. If you know what I'm talking about. Trying to say this with the fewest spoilers possible, but I don't know that we're ever going to actually be spoiler free. So I don't know. Go watch the series, guys. But it's a very corny scene where someone's clearly having like a
sex dream.
Yeah, it's not even really a sex dream, but it's sexual in nature, and it's very corny. And Netflix tweeted this out, this little scene, and someone responded with like, y'all are really just watching Wattpad TV. Which is kind of how it comes across as an English K-drama, essentially. Especially the first half of the series. I started watching this with Jess, and I was like, this is kind of bad. But I love it, but it's kind of bad.
Yeah. We both agreed. We were like, it's cute, and we want to keep watching it. Is it quality TV? Maybe not.
But here's the kicker. So I started watching with Jess. She had seen the first couple episodes. She rewatched them with me. So we're on like the same page. And then I get home and I didn't watch any for a few days. And then I started watching again. And at the end of episode 5 or 6, I was like, holy shit, this just got so good. And I literally watched episodes 6 through 10 in one sitting. Like, I could not stop. And I was messaging Jess, and she was like, oh my god, I have to catch up. And then like 2 days later, she was like, what the hell? It was just, it goes from being so cheesy to like, it's still cheesy, but it gets so much better.
Yeah. It's really good. It's okay. It's bad, but it's good. Like, everyone should go watch it, especially if you like to All the Boys. But it's different. And are we going to spoil a little bit?
Yeah, I'm going to say from here on out, we're going full spoilers. So, go watch the show, come back.
Yes. So it starts out with, right, as she explained, Kitty is going to Korea. and she's surprising Day. She has not told Day that she got into the same school, so it's really like she's gonna go there and get her like romance that she has in her head with Day and get to kiss him and all these things. That spirals. I'm not even gonna get into all the details. It spirals. There's a fake relationship. There's Minho, who's the like kind of angry but hot roommate that doesn't really get along with Kitty. By
So hot.
episode 6, so hot, like really hot. By, by episode 6, everyone hates each other and everyone loves each other. And Kitty is having like bisexual fantasies about another really hot chick named Yuri. And it is just great. It's great.
And big-ish spoilers, but also not. Yuri, we get introduced to in the beginning of the series. Like, Kitty has this very dramatic montage as soon as she gets to Korea where she can't fucking find her way to this school, and she
Yeah.
gets hit by a car, and then the person in the car is Yuri, who is like this business mogul's daughter that the press knows, which is very real in Korea, that like a rich person's child would be photographed. But she's like, yeah, I'll give you a ride, we're going to the same place. And then from there we get these subplots with Yuri about how she is gay, she's a little lesbian, and her girlfriend just left her school and moved to the UK, and she doesn't know why or what's going on, and so she's sad about that. Like, you find that out like in the next scene that she's in, and that then sort of intersects halfway through the show with Kitty's plot line, and also is the catalyst for the show because Yuri's fake dating Day, and it's so messy,
Mm-hmm.
but it also is like kind of real sometimes. I think what I really loved about this show is that, yes, it's a K-drama written in English, but you're very, very rarely going to find a K-drama where people are openly gay, especially a main character. And she even says multiple times in English and Korean, I'm gay, which is just like very unfounded. That was impactful to me.
Yeah.
Happy Pride, y'all.
I also think it was important because as big as the To All the Boys movies were on Netflix and for Netflix, and I feel like so many similar type movies spun off of those being so successful on Netflix, it was very straight culture.
So so straight.
Yeah, so for them to go and do this show, which was set up as straight culture, and then for us to end with Kitty being like, spoiler, Day, sorry, I can't be with you. I just can't get over these feelings I have for Yuri. It's like, oh, what's happening?
And that's what makes it so good, is that the first 4 episodes, they have you convinced that this is going to be a very standard setup of a plot. Like, even with Yuri being gay, that just really is what causes the tension of Kitty shows up, and for reasons you'll see when you watch the show, because you should go watch the show and support it, Day is pretending he's dating Yuri and not telling Kitty why, and so Kitty's like really upset and thinks she's been cheated on, and like you think that the plot is being set up around them and they're going to get over it, and by the end they're going to be all happy, but instead it goes in all of these directions that you just really don't see coming the first half. It's bananas. Also, how do you feel about the actresses' age differences? Because there's like, I don't know if you know this, Jess, there's like 10 years between them. Yuri's our age. She was born in 1994, and Anna Cathcart's 19. So that's I'm 29. You're almost 29.
I get it because TV does it a lot. I think we've talked about it before with Disney shows and stuff. Personally, we like when they cast more accurate. I think we've been pretty open about that when talking about shows, that to us is important, and we enjoy it. I feel like in this case, it didn't bother me on screen, but knowing now, it makes me want to go into like, how old's Minho? How old's Day? Like, is it just Yuri that's much older? Is it kind of like the whole cast is all over the place? But also, if they continue to like further the Yuri and Kitty plotline, which they should, which is why you all should go watch it so we can get a season 2. That makes me a little uncomfortable, I have to be honest.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And they don't kiss or anything. Sorry.
No.
That's something I should edit out probably, but you know, there are reasons to wonder the ages of some of the other actors, of some of the things that do happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the other ones. We do know that Yuri and Minho's actors are siblings in real life, which is fun. Also makes sense because they're both super hot. I believe he got cast first and then asked if his sister could be in the show or be considered for the show.
Oh, cool. I know there was this interview they did, which was hilarious, when they were talking about like the most uncomfortable scene to film. And he was talking about one of the films where he was kissing Madison and Yuri was also in the room. And he was like, it's just, you don't want to kiss in front of your siblings. It's just weird. And I'm like, that's fair. I think even if you're an actor, I could imagine that being kind of challenging.
I could imagine having a hard time keeping a straight face. I did also just this is something that I also should edit out, but I'm not editing, Amanda. I'm not.
You're not.
I was reminded of an interview I once watched with the Driver Era, which is the new name. Not new, it's been around. It's Ross Lynch's band with his brothers, and at one point they said that they had sex with other people in the same room at the same time. And I found that very strange. But like,
yeah, I don't like that.
No. But anyway, that's just what my brain associated with it. So back to the show. Oh, also so Kitty says that she's going to Kiss, Korean International School of something. Because not because of Day, but because her mother did. She got this scholarship for Koreans born abroad who could go like rediscover their heritage for a year. And she wants to connect with mom because her mom died when she was really young. She doesn't really have anything of her. And she wants to like know what kind of person she was. And this is all cute and stuff, but she's very clearly lying to herself. Like she is going for Day, 100%. And it's really only after she arrives and shit hits the fan with Day that she is like, okay, no, I'm here for mom. Like it, but then there is a whole subplot around that, which
I was gonna say, I actually like that they didn't like throw that in there and then forget about it. It is a continuous subplot that is brought up in every single episode. The entire season is like her connecting to her mother. It gets juicy. It gets dramatic, as everything in the show. But I did appreciate that they continued that.
I do think it's so dramatic how she's very regularly like, my mom stood here. My mom walked these halls. Like, she could have had this dorm room. And whatever. I don't have a dead mom, so I can't really like judge. It just felt silly.
Sure. Sure.
But it's a really good show, and it is set up in a way that we need a season 2. So you have to watch it. I know a lot of people have watched it already, but like, watch it again because we want a season 2 because there's no resolution.
There's no resolution. If anything, it leaves on a giant cliffhanger. So we need a season 2. So if you have not watched XO Kitty, please go watch it, especially if you liked the movies. It's a little more dramatic, a little more K-drama, written in English, as we've discussed, but it's like very similar type of vibe since Jenny Han wrote it. So if you like those, I feel like you would totally enjoy this.
I think it's the fun and charm of the movies with extra cheese, like you said, but also it's a little more grown up. It's a little steamier, which I was not expecting.
It is steamy.
Yeah. And there's other queer representation in there as well. And there's really good nuances. Like, also, just all of the Korean actors are actually Korean. Their Korean is their first language, and it's really fucking good, which you don't often get in English speaking shows. There's other international students and layers of identity. It's clearly written by someone who understands the cultural implications of certain things in that society.
Mm-hmm.
So go watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because it's Pride Month and we're both gay, so we get to tell you what to do.
Yeah. And you have to listen.
Yeah, it's the rule.
Yeah. It's no longer a request, it's now a demand.
I love the Try Guys, and Keith recently did a live stream where, like, a couple days ago, he did a live stream where he does those regularly. And at the very, very beginning of the stream, like the first 3 minutes, Eugene FaceTimes in to their producer, Rachel, and tells him, because it was June 1st, he was like, it's June 1st, you have to do whatever any gay person in the chat says. Like,
Yep.
anything the queers want, you have to do it. Like, he just called in to tell him that.
Yeah, I saw that. Too funny.
Anyway, do you have anything else to say about this?
No, not about TV shows. Are we going to move on?
We are going to move on to, ironically, it's Jess's favorite subject, but it's me who has most of the storytelling to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have listened, I don't know when we actually talk about this in our episodes. If you've listened to us on Pop Capsule Pod,
Yeah.
because they're the real stars who regularly put out their podcasts, even when they're like getting married and shit.
Yep.
Jess loves live music. I posted on our stories the other day that she goes to a concert every other week, and that's not an exaggeration. And she felt the need to tell me that actually she goes to a concert on average at least once a week.
I just thought that, like, it made me giggle that you had to clarify that it was not an exaggeration when I was like, oh, if anything, you're underselling it. Like,
yeah.
I go to a concert a lot. I do have one small concert shout out. It's not really a story. But while we're talking about things that we liked, I went to like an electric pop punk fest, let's call it, a week ago. If you are into first album of Paramore vibes, Halsey vibes, I'm wearing their shirt, go listen to this band Rivals. They're from LA. They're badass. It's this badass curvy chick with blue hair fronting the band. She's awesome. She's 3 guys. They all drum. It's just like such high energy. And her songs are very female empowerment, very like, I'm a baddie, I'm hot, but make it punk. And it's a vibe, and you don't get it a lot in the punk scene. So I would say if you're into that, go support Rivals. They're awesome.
Fun. Jess did send me one of their songs, and I listened to it, and I was like very into it. I agree with the Paramore Halsey vibes.
Yep.
She has like kind of the nasally thing of Halsey going on,
Mm-hmm.
but then also sort of the deep throat thing that Hayley Williams does.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to make that sound sexual, but you know what I mean. She's singing from that part of her throat. And also it is a little more punky.
Yep.
I do recommend. Yeah. So speaking of Paramore though, and Hayley Williams, I posted on our stories, but like, you know, if you didn't watch those or you missed them because they disappear, whatever. I like never go to concerts. I deadass almost went about a decade without going to a concert. I know Jess would
I don't understand.
Literally die.
I would. Like, actually.
Like, she would just die of like boredom and malaise. Like, she would just simply decease.
Also, like, I think I would actually go crazy. Like, if I don't see live music for too long, I start to like combust as a human. Like, I can't function.
Fair. I have gone to plays and shows. I think though the last concert I went to, I've been trying to think of this. I feel like there must be something else, but I really can't think of anything since 2015.
Wow. Okay.
I saw the Cooks in Norway, and they were opened by the Bleachers back when they only really had the one song. They still only really have the one song, but anyway. And my friend and I were like, we don't really care about the bleachers. We're going for the cooks, which is kind of hilarious because no one would ever say that now. But anyway. Yes, so I am not a live music girly simply because it is not something that I feel the need to spend money on because it's not the way that I was raised in the same way that you were.
Mhm.
And this is my year of embracing life. And so I've scheduled lots of concerts. I also have had an income influx, which means that I am spending money willy nilly all over the place, baby. I am like, do I want to do this? Hell yeah. And
Yep.
so I went to Costa Rica. I went to see Jess in LA. I am,
Also, you're prepping for hot girl summer. Like, you gotta be spending that money.
excuse you, I am prepping for hot gay summer.
Okay, that too.
So I spent, actually back in November, I spent like $300 to see Paramore this week. I had 3 concerts this week, and the first one was Paramore. And Paramore is, I have top 2 bands. Sigur Rós, which is a post-rock Icelandic band. I've already seen them live back in 2013. Fantastic. And Paramore. Paramore is the only band that I own every single album. I know every single word. I might not know what the song is titled because I'm just playing their songs, but I know all the words. Also, I learn words very easily.
Mhm.
No prep was needed for this concert.
Mhm.
I had the best fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, I went to Madison Square Garden where they sold out 2 nights in a row. That's a 20,000 person stadium. I hadn't been to a stadium concert since my very first concert in 7th grade. I saw the Cheetah Girls open by Hannah Montana at the SAP Center, which is where the Sharks play. But that was like a bunch of 12-year-olds. So we were all just sitting in our seats. It was not the same thing as a bunch of people, like millennials.
You were sitting to the Cheetah Girls?
There were times when we stood, but we were children
I don't like that.
with our parents. So anyway, Paramore, the openers were fine. They were fine. But mostly it was all 20,000 of us knew every single word to every single song. We never stopped singing. The only songs that we didn't all know were because Hayley performed one song from her solo album, and then Zach apparently has another band, and they let him play one of their songs, like,
cool.
near the end of the concert, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
He was literally like, I hope you enjoy it, and if you don't say anything.
Yeah.
How do you feel about, because you obviously, you go to a million concerts a year. How do you feel about stadium concerts?
I have mixed feelings. I'm a front row or don't go girly. I also, as like Amanda knows, I probably have talked about it on here, maybe not. I go to a lot of weird venues. Like, I went to a venue that was just like a brick wall with a stage in a restaurant, kind of, but it wasn't really a restaurant this week. There was maybe 40 people there.
It wasn't a restaurant this week?
Well, no, I went this week, but I'm saying, like, it was a restaurant as in there were tables, but it was like more of a bar. Very hard to explain the vibes. But that's a lot of the shows I go to are like 300 or less, even 150 people or less. And that is just such a different experience than when you go to a stadium show. However, that feeling of having everyone know all the words, I've been to multiple stadium shows, but one that sticks out in my brain is the Hella Mega Tour, which Green Day headlined, and it got postponed, and I went in 2021. Going to the Dodger Stadium and having 55,000 people sing every single word to every Green Day song, knowing that like a lot of their big albums came out in 92, 94. They're like as older than half the audience. And he just had all of us in his back pocket, and we were just willing to do whatever he wanted because that music is so infectious and his ability to own the stage is so infectious. And it's a beautiful thing. Unfortunately, I have found that doesn't happen at all stadium shows. So that's where like I would always pick a smaller venue tour over a stadium tour. But I know Paramore, she is known for doing that same thing where like everyone is in her control and everyone is just like vibing and loving it. So I'm sure it was amazing.
Yeah. I'm I was supposed to go to the Hella Mega Tour. That was supposed to be my first big concert comeback. And then I had a ticket for the Boston show, which was one of the only two that Fall Out Boy, who were co-headlining, had to pull out of because someone on their crew got COVID and people still cared back then. And um, I was more in it for Fall Out Boy than they're my third in my band hierarchy. Then for Green Day, I would love to see Green Day, but I would not be someone that knows all the words. I know American Idiot well, and that's it.
That's not true.
Like the album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not the song, but the album.
Yeah, I can accept that. I definitely like grew up on that music. That's what my parents played. Like my dad only played alternative radio. Literally wasn't until I started getting into country that my parents got into country. Like we grew up with alt music, rock around the household. So like Dookie, like I had that on CD, you know, and that album came out in 94. Like
my parents raised me on 80s rock. They still only listen to 80s rock. I grew up with Blondie and Pat Benatar and the Eagles and Tears for Fears, and I stole all those albums. When I was in 5th grade, I had this crush on this boy who was very like School of Rock vibes, punk rock, because we were in 5th grade.
Yeah.
And he and his friends had their little band, and they liked Green Day, and I knew that, so I went to Barnes & Noble, or it might have been Borders back then, actually, with my mom and my brother. I went to the CD section and I picked out American Idiot, and then and I did it with them, in front of them. And I'm listening to it at home, and my dad gets home and he's like, why does she have a parental advisory CD? And he like listens to the songs and is like, no, you can get this back when you're 40. And my parents took away the CD that I paid my money for, that I bought in front of my mom. And then they lost it in a move, and I've never seen that CD since. But I got to listen to it a couple times beforehand. I think they just weren't a fan of like Novocaine and like the druggy songs. But anyway, we're getting a little off topic. Paramore was fan-fucking-tastic. I was telling Jess, like, the band doesn't really give that much, and not in like a dig. I think just like Taylor's a little bit of like an awkward, shy guy, so he's just like head down. Also, he's got like long curly hair right now and a hilariously large mustache, and he's just like head down bobbing the whole time. And Zach's off on his drums. Their touring band is pretty cool. They do move around the stage a bit, but Hayley is the tiniest little human, and she just fucking commands everything. And she's running around, she's dancing to everything, she's doing back bends, she's going nuts. Like, and I didn't know, but apparently every time they perform Misery Business, they bring a fan on stage during the bridge. And it wasn't premeditated, really. Like, she sang the first 2/3 of the song, and she sang the bridge, and then the band just keeps going and like rolling, and she's like, all right, if you've never been here before, I'm about to pick someone. If you have been here before, you know how it goes. And she looks at all of the people with the signs while the band just keeps playing, and she goes through and reads them all, like at the near the front rows in this fucking 20,000 person concert, and chooses someone and brings them on stage, gives them a mic, and says, you all bought tickets for a Paramore show, but you're gonna get a Bianca show, and in this moment when they sing the bridge, you all are the biggest Bianca stans. And that's not an easy bridge to sing.
No.
And I would have died. It's a go-to karaoke song. I would not have been able to do it. I would have died. Bianca was not a trained singer. Bianca was not incredible. But you know what they did bring was the fucking energy. And they were so loud, and we all cheered. And it was just this like incredibly wholesome religious experience. Like, I keep calling it religious, and that seems so overly dramatic, but it felt like that, because it was like all of us believing in the same like messages and the same things, and like feeling the same feelings, you know?
That literally gave me goosebumps, and I think, like, not to get mushy, but that is like a huge reason that I think I crave and need to see live music as much as I do, is there is, especially punk, all live music does this, but specifically punk, there is a sense of community in a concert, regardless of if it's 500 people or 25,000 people, that you do not get anywhere else. And it is like that religious experience. It is like, because none of you knew who Bianca was,
No.
but you were all there for her and supportive and cheering her on in that moment. And I know it wasn't like faked or forced. Like everyone just brought the energy because they felt that that was the right thing to do in that moment. And it's just beautiful.
Yeah. And I will say Hayley's also a big vibe check. She, at the beginning of the concert, she's like, we sold out Madison Square Garden twice. It doesn't matter what the rules are here. For the next 2 days, this is our house. And we're staying in tonight. What do you like to do when you stay in? You get comfy, you maybe dance around in your underwear, you have a good time, you sing. And she had us do some vocal warm-ups with her, some little me, and then la, 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 la. Oh, my cat did not like that sound.
Yeah.
And there was briefly a fight by the stage, and she was mid-chorus and just immediately shut it all down and went like, fuck no, get out. Not in our house. No. She was very, like, she created that space for us all to feel comfortable, and it was so loving. But I will say, I'm talking about artists that do it really well and the punk space. Another space that does it really well, leading into my second concert, is the queer space.
Yes.
That
Next, I need to send you to a queer punk show. I have some recommendations because that I think will blow your mind.
I think it will. My next concert, unless you have anything else you would like to say about my Paramore experience.
Nope.
Okay. Oh, I have one note. The second night of Madison Square Garden, Hayley Williams sang All I Wanted, which she notoriously does not sing. She sang it once live ever because it's so hard. The one that's like a TikTok challenge to sing. They're like,
Yeah.
all I wanted was you. That one. She sang that the second night. She didn't sing it the first night. And I feel a little deprived, but I can't feel too deprived because I had a really good night the second night. But a little bit, I'm like, Hayley.
Yeah.
We all paid hundreds of dollars to be there. Anyway.
Yep.
So my second concert was Hayley Williams, Hayley Kiyoko.
Yeah, but I was like, that's not right.
Look, I had 2 back-to-back concerts with the people who both spell their name. It's the same name and they both spell it weird. The same way. Tuesday I went to Paramore. Wednesday I went to Hayley Kiyoko. I like her music. It's vibey. It's pop, dancey. They both hit a nostalgia point for me because Hayley Kiyoko was on Disney Channel. She was in Lemonade Mouth and Wizards of Waverly Place, and famously in 2015 came out as a lesbian with her song Girls Like Girls. Shout out, wearing a little pin that says Girls Like Girls, which also had 2 former Disney stars in it. And ever since then, she's been referred to by her fans as Lesbian Jesus.
Yeah.
And I fully bought a ticket. Like, she's not my go-to to listen to. Her stuff is more fun, but not serious. It's kind of standard, like, electro-pop-ish, dancey. But she comes from a dance background. I was just like, it's a $50 ticket to go to a great venue and be surrounded by a bunch of gays. Hell fucking yeah. Like, that's where I want to be. And that was, like, the best decision I've ever made in my life. Like, that concert was a religious experience in similar ways to Paramore, but also very different because the setting was much more intimate. It's like a ballroom type of setting almost. There's one canopy or balcony, and then everything else was just general admission on the floor. And first of all, it said it started at 6. Doors did not open until 6. They took us in batches. We were lined up around the block waiting for them to fucking let us in. The concert actually started at 7. And when I tell you, this was the fruitiest looking lineup I have ever seen of just queers lined up around the block by Union Square. Like, we were all so gay and queer coded. And I went alone. To both of these concerts. And while I'm in line, I'm like, there's a person kind of making eye contact with me, and I'm like, I don't really know why. Do I look weird? Like, what's going on? And so I just like look down at my phone, like, play it cool, play it cool. And then I go into the venue, I pee, I get a $15 Stella because fuck venues. I literally,
Mhm.
when he told me the price, I went, that's disgusting, and then took it. And then when I got a second one, I would like another overpriced Stella, thank you.
Mhm. This is why trick here is most venues, not all, but a lot of venues will do plus $5 for a shot. So you get your beer and then you pay $5 and you also get a shot. Sometimes it's worth it because you're like, I know I'm going to want 2 drinks. I don't really want a shot right now, but then this makes my 2 drinks $20, which is $10 to drink instead of paying for two $15 beers.
That's a hot take.
Yeah.
So I use the bathroom. I get my beer. I go up. I'm waiting around. None of the openers are on. There's 2 openers for Hayley, and also gay.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, this tall person just comes running towards me and shouting in a strong Kiwi accent, "Are you here alone?" And it's the same person that was making eye contact with me in the line. They are also here alone. They were literally in New York for like 5 days, woke up and were like, things also happen in this city besides just like the touristy stuff, and looked up concert tickets and bought the ticket that morning for the show.
Yep.
And they decided that we would be best friends. And they were also like, you can also tell me to fuck off. And I was like, yeah, you can tell me to fuck off. And then we didn't. And I think that bonded us.
Yeah.
And their whole thing with, and I'm gonna switch pronouns around. My friend Lucy uses all pronouns. She doesn't care. She's just a little guy. Is kind of how she puts it. But their friend likes to say there's no such thing as being embarrassed as just committing to the bit.
Mm.
And so we fully committed. We didn't know a single song from the openers, but we were fucking committed to dancing and screaming and having a good time. And it was the best energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone there is gay and loving. The second opener was like, I would like to tell you all that I'm a lesbian. And everyone shouted. And she's like, I'm so surprised that the crowd at the Hayley Kiyoko concert is excited that I'm a lesbian. And then Hayley comes on and she puts on an incredible show. I will say the songs are, like I said, they're not like my go-to for listening like on a day-to-day, but for a live show, they're such fun songs because you can dance. She's got dancers up there with her and she's putting on a show. And there's a couple that like felt, obviously they're all gay, but there's a couple that felt very like creating our safe space. Like she has a song called I Found My Friends. And her encore song is Panorama, which goes, wait, have you seen the view? And she like looks out to the crowd and her dancers are waving pride flags and trans flags, and like it feels so like safe and welcome. I felt held in that concert. Also, I got pulled up on stage. That was incredible. And insane.
Amanda literally texted me a photo. She did, I have to preface, she did text, I got pulled up on stage. I didn't read that text because I just looked at the photo and it's a close-up of her and Hayley Kiyoko. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Hayley Kiyoko. Then I had to go to Hayley Kiyoko's Instagram to verify before I was like, wait, what is going on? Is this actually Hayley Kiyoko? Am I making this up in my brain? So I went to Instagram, couldn't fucking spell her name. So then I had to go to Becca Tilley, who's her girlfriend's Instagram, to then go to Hayley Kiyoko's Instagram to indeed confirm the fact that that was her. And I was like, what is going on? Like,
so like I said, my friend Lucy and I are committed to the bit. We're having a good time. We are dancing. We are singing. We are pretending we are singing even if we don't know the words. I do know most of the words. I do know most of her songs because I buy her music and listen to it just because I want to support lesbian Jesus. And at one point, one of her crew members, his name is Mitch. He was wearing a hat that says in all caps, Daddy, and he has tons of piercings. He comes up to me and he says, do you want to go on stage? And I was silent for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I
Processing.
was like, is he talking to me? Is he talking to Lucy? Is he talking to someone around me? I looked to Lucy, the stranger that I just met, expecting that they're going to answer for me. They haven't even really heard the question. They just suspect. I want to say no because I'm an anxious human, and anything that makes me uncomfortable or brings attention to me, I want to say no. But
Yeah.
I do have this one small part in the back of my brain that's like, that would be fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So Mitch pulls me aside. And we were not in the front, by the way, because Lucy and I are both just here for the vibes. We're not like, we don't need to crowd up by Hayley. So I'm not there. I'm like on the dance floor. There's like a side section that has some equipment and where like the openers exited and it's like guarded off. And that's where Mitch has been. And so I'm like by the back of that. So he wasn't going far into the crowd. He just wasn't going to the front of the crowd. Apparently that's your tip, guys. So he pulled me over like 2 songs before she serenaded me. Spoiler, she serenaded me. And I got to watch Curious, which is a great song, from the side right there. And then he pulled me backstage where I met the dancers and they told me how I was going to go. One of the dancers was going to bring me on. And Hayley gave a little speech that I couldn't fully hear because I was backstage, where she was talking about how like one of her dreams as an artist has always been to serenade a stage on fan, a fan on stage.
A stage on fan.
Yeah. All the words. Which I think is kind of like very lesbian of her.
Sure.
Because it's something that you typically think of male artists doing with their fangirls. And I just really love that this lesbian artist who predominantly has female queer fans, which, by the way, everyone there was a gay woman or a gay man. Very few gay men, but there were some. Wants to bring a fan on stage. I just think that that's such a fun little gender role switcheroony, if you will. And they had me, the dancer brought me up on stage. Also, she told me she liked my outfit. The dancer did. I was like,
cute.
Oh. And I sat on a little stool. And immediately when I said, Hayley asks me my name. And then there's a couple girls in the very front row that are like, your credit card. Because my phone is in my pocket and I'm wearing linen shorts. And in the back of my case is my credit card. They're either worried that my credit card's going to fall out or that someone's going to steal my credit card number. And I was like, don't worry. It's not falling out, and also there's no numbers on the front. It's one of those new ones where they're all on the back.
Yep.
And Hayley's like, good, get things sorted first. But I just love queer women. Just shout out to those girls that were concerned about my credit card. Also, I heard someone shout or like say from the front row, was like, oh, she is really pretty. And it was like,
oh, that's very sweet.
And then Hayley sings the song Pretty Girl, which is a song about a girl being very pretty and like wanting to get to know her because she's so pretty. And she sings an acoustic version with her guitar and the whole crowd is singing it. And I felt so bad because this is the one song of the night that I did not know. I felt so bad. But I also, like, I never fully understood how special that experience was until it happened to me. Because, yes, it's special that an artist is singing to you. Someone you respect is singing to you. But it was less about that and more about, like, the crowd was singing to me. When you're in the crowd and you're all singing together, you feel like part of this one unit, this one body. But when the crowd is singing at you, you just feel all of this love, like. And a lot of the people in the front were actually like looking at me a lot of the time when they were singing too, which was just really, really special. I don't know. It was crazy.
Yeah, because I think that's a very rare experience because it's like even a lot of the times, like if you do get pulled up on stage, it's like multiple people getting pulled up on stage. Or at the end of a show, if it's the last tour, they'll pull a bunch of fans. Last show of the tour, they'll pull a bunch of fans on stage. But that experience, I feel like, is very unique.
Yeah, and this is something she does every show. And a lot of them knew that a lot of the fans that are like up with her knew that it was going to happen. I was not one of those. Also, I asked Daddy Mitch why he chose me while we were waiting. And he's like, vibes. He's like, I just like to choose someone who's like dancing and knows the words and is clearly like enjoying themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right. So committing to the bit, guys, it's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Also, just like always going for the experience. Like me and my friend
Yes.
Justine, who go to a lot of concerts, we always just go into any experience with, well, we're just here for the adventure. And I think it's the same thing as committing to the bit. If you're just here for the adventure, then whatever happens, regardless of if it's not the way you saw the day playing out, you did not see yourself ending up on stage, you're just here for it. And I think that it's a beautiful way to live. I don't think we can live that way every single day, all times, but to just like go into an experience with that energy, it
Mm-hmm.
stands out.
I fully agree. And that was the other thing that was in my head was if I say no, I'm not committing to the bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to experience life more. I have been thinking a lot about what I live for because no one chooses to live. We're just born.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is something I've thought about for years as I deal with my mental health about like why I continue to do it when it's not something I chose. And I think the things I find the most rewarding are unique experiences and creating. And so if I said no, it's like, why? What am I turning down other than an experience that probably won't come around again?
Yep.
There's nothing that could go wrong.
Totally.
But I will say something I haven't talked to you about before recording this is that it also highlighted to me how insecure I am, which is something I don't really feel until I'm dating someone or I don't know, I'm in like unique situations. I I felt so loved and held in that moment. And then we took a picture, a selfie, which Hayley prompted. She was like, "Do you want a picture?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sorry." And she fixed my angle, by the way, because my selfie angle sucks and she's a celebrity, so she takes them professionally. And she gave me a guitar pick. Um, had an incredible night. Have more notes about the night, but back to the note on being insecure. On her official Instagram, she usually posts a photo, like a professionally taken photo with the fan that was on stage that night. She did it the night before me. She did it the night after me, but she didn't that night for mine. And I like felt some type of way about it. And I even right after I was on stage, I mean, the whole time I was feeling bad that maybe I shouldn't have been chosen because I'm not someone that processes their emotions in the moment. So I'm not crying. I'm not freaking out. I'm literally just like there. I was worried that I was a disappointment. We got merch because I was like, we have to commemorate the night. And the person selling merch at the end of the show ended up being Mitch, the guy that chose me. And I told him, like, I wasn't going to buy merch, but now I have to because you put me on stage. And he was like, hold on, I have something for you. And he brought me an autographed VIP badge.
Ah!
So again, if I hadn't gone to get merch, I wouldn't have that.
Yeah.
I'm calling it my permanent gay card.
Mm-hmm.
But I even told him, I was like, I hope I didn't disappoint you. And he was like, how could you have disappointed me?
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's something that's come up
Mm-hmm.
in the days that have followed of like, I don't know, what if I wasn't pretty enough, or what if I wasn't emotional enough for like her or the fans, and it's so stupid. And I hate that that's ever a thought. And like the best way that I've been able to process that is when I watch the video that I took on stage and like see the people singing to me instead of to her. And like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I was loved and held in that moment.
Mm-hmm. I also think like part of that is like you experienced it,
Mm-hmm.
facial expressions, body language, everything, the way that you were supposed to experience it.
Mm.
And that's going to look different on everyone. Some people will cry. Some people will say no. And at least you said yes and were open to the opportunity of experiencing it. And I'm sure, like, I think about this a lot because, again, small shows, talk to bands after shows quite frequently.
Mm-hmm.
I will wake up in the morning and be like, oh my God, why did I say that to that person? Like, they must think that I'm like absolutely crazy, or like think that I am not the type of fan that they want. And I think it's that same sort of thinking where it's like, well, no, I'm the fan that I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, right? You process that moment the way that you were supposed to process it. And that's going to look different on everyone.
And she's doing it for the fans, you know?
Yeah.
She's not going to be disappointed in how you react as long as you're not
I
an asshole.
I also have to say, part of me is like, maybe you should cut this out, but we're not editing.
Yeah.
Um,
Say what you got to say.
maybe, and not to like play into your insecurity, but I did notice in the photo that you sent me in the selfie, she didn't look as cute as the other ones I noticed on her Instagram. So maybe it was a her thing
Well,
and nothing to do with you.
well, I mean, the ones that she posts on her Instagram are usually the professionally ones that they're
Yeah.
like not a selfie. They're like a photo of the fan and her taking the selfie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I went and looked at them. I know.
yeah,
Right here.
I don't know if they didn't get a good one. I think she looks way better in that selfie than I do. I still posted it because she knows how to angle her face, and I don't. I just like cheese up at the camera.
Yeah.
Also, in my selfie, it's so sweet to see like the whole crowd behind me like smiling and raising
It's
their
so
hands.
cool. So cool.
But also the night that I went, because it was Pride Eve, which is another, like, I feel so blessed by lesbian Jesus on Pride Eve for all of this to have happened. It was like, I have to have an exceptionally gay pride. That's what I've just taken away from this moment. She had another artist show up, Fletcher, who I had never heard of.
What?
I know. My friend tried to revoke my gay card because I hadn't heard of Fletcher. And I was like,
think I
you
just
can't.
felt fury. Like
So she
more
as
than anger. What do you mean you've never heard of Fletcher? Where have you been living?
Look, I swear Lucy and I were the only two people in that crowd who had never heard of Fletcher.
Of course.
But she came on and they have a song together called Cherry. So it was
Yeah.
it was a special unannounced guest for her. We were her second night, I think,
Yeah.
at this venue in New York, and just
Yep.
a few shows before the end of her tour. So she had Fletcher come out and they performed the song like halfway through the set. And everyone went wild and I did not. But also, I'm to my point, I think because of that, there were more photos for her to post on Instagram because she posted a lot of her and Fletcher, which like makes sense, you know. But also, there doesn't need to be a reason. Like there literally
No.
doesn't. And I
not.
think
Yeah.
one of the last ones that she posted, because she just finished the tour, I think she didn't post one with the fan. And like, I don't need to be rationalizing it one way or the other. But for some reason, I'm this like insecure little baby. And I don't like that part of myself.
I think you just got to remind yourself, like, you experienced that moment the way you were supposed to experience it.
Thank you.
And that's beautiful.
Thank you. I love that. And also, when I left, there was like, because Hayley will take a picture with fans that wait for her to come out, which I didn't know, but there were like 20, 30 people at least waiting outside for her. And because I left the venue pretty late because we were waiting in the merch line, a number of people had come up to me on the floor after I had been on stage and been like, how did you get picked? Oh my God, how was that? And then a number of them outside were like, it's Amanda. And I was like, that happened 30 plus minutes ago.
Wow.
You remember my name?
I love that.
And they asked me how it was and how I got chosen and blah, blah, blah. And then my friend and I walked to the station. It took us 10 plus minutes to say goodbye. Like we just stood there because we didn't want the moment to end, because that night was just pure magic and it felt so clandestine that we should meet and get along so well and have this magical night together. And then I got on the train and there was a girl a seat across from me that was like, hey, you were on stage, right? Do you want me to airdrop the photos and videos I took of you? Which is how I have those photos that are on my Instagram.
Oh my God, how lovely.
And
cheers to that stranger.
Well, her name is Katie. I also now have her on Instagram because it turns out she lives across the street from me. And she was also at the Paramore show. She also saw Taylor Swift at MetLife. Big live music girly. And a nice person. And we spent the whole train ride talking. And like, everything about that night was pure magic. There's no other way to describe it. So thank you to Hayley Kiyoko, to Daddy Mitch, to all of the wonderful people that said hi to me. I definitely feel like I now need to be very gay.
I think that's a great plan for June and the rest of the year.
Yes. Hayley was even like, Pride Month starts tomorrow, right? It's Pride for me every month, but I forget.
Yeah. Are you done with concert stuff?
Yeah, I also went to a concert yesterday that was pretty dope, but I don't know the artists well like you do. I saw Campus and Gus Dapperton. I just want to give him a brief shout out to say I knew none of the music. I went because my friend needed a friend to go with, and I still had a banger time. They put on a great show, both of them. I know you've seen Hippocampus.
I haven't seen Hippocampus, but I love Hippocampus.
Oh, they're very good live.
But I have not seen them.
They also walked off the stage when there was someone passed out and security wasn't being quick enough, and they called it out. They were like, "Can we get this person some fucking help?" And then they walked off stage in the middle of their set until the person got help.
Good. That's how it should be.
Anyway, what were you gonna say?
Just to touch on Pride Month for a little bit. I think everyone, especially the straights and the allies, but everyone this Pride Month, saying Happy Pride is not enough. I just want to say that we need to realize that all the trans people in our life, their lives are at risk right now. What's going on around the country, all the laws that are being passed, is just a blatant attack on their lives. There is no reason that we are choosing to value certain people's lives over other people's lives. They are just choosing to live, and this is why we need Pride. And so just this Pride Month in general, we need to really, really, really lift and support the voices of all of the trans girlies and boys and theys in our life.
Absolutely. Remember that Pride is started from predominantly trans women of color who are the most targeted people in our society, the most likely to be victims of violent hate crimes and victims of self crimes, if you know what I mean. And also, as Hayley Williams said, yes, Hayley Williams, not Hayley Kiyoko, she has said recently that she is very comfortable being political, and if you vote for Ron DeSantis, you're fucking dead to her. Sorry, we were in a very serious moment. The next day after the Hayley Williams concert, I literally left my house to get cat food, and I walked past Ulta, and Hayley Williams was doing a meet and greet in my local Ulta.
I saw that.
I got a picture through the window. You had to get a wristband to do the meet and greet like at 10 a.m. I found out later, but it was just very like, what the fuck is my life right now? New York people.
For her hair brand? Because she's a hair dye brand. Okay.
It's called Good Dye Young.
Yep.
DYE. And she and her business partner are doing like a little bus tour accompanying the Paramore tour. So it was like 100 people had to show up at 10 a.m. to get wristbands.
Fun.
To do a meet and greet at 4 p.m.
Fun.
She's very cute. But I saw her up close and personal. That was nice. Love her. Yeah, support trans lives, support your gay friends, support your fellow fucking human beings, and support queer media because representation matters. It truly does. And watching little gay Kitty realize that she's bisexual was so great for someone who realized she was bisexual later in life. And also, you know what's a really good show? The Ultimatum Queer Love. It's so good. I've watched all of the episodes that are out, and I've seen the take online that like the ultimatum was meant to be for lesbians because it is the definition of U-hauling. And I could not agree more.
Yeah.
Go watch it, guys.
So fun. Well, we hope you enjoyed this kind of like weird, random, we just want to like talk about what we want to talk about episode. I hope it inspired you to go watch XO Kitty. Go watch it. And just like go see bands that you love, nostalgic or not.
Yes.
Also support local bands. Like I know I said this in a recorded episode that who knows when that's going to come out on Phil of the Future. But like, find local artists, support your local music. It's really, really, really important to the growth of creativity and the growth of these artists. And we need fucking art. We need people to be creative. So go out and support your smaller local artists.
Also, commit to the bit. Commit to the experience.
Yep. Life's an adventure. Commit to it.
Say yes. Aside from that, happy Pride, y'all.
Yeah, happy Pride. And we will see you in the next one talking about Phil of the Future, hopefully sometime soon. Might not be soon.
Which we recorded a long time ago.
Yep.
Okay, bye.